What's up, guys? Today I want to talk to you guys about messing around with 16th notes and kind of further subdividing and seeing the results that that can give you and how funky that can really make stuff. So one of the simplest ways to understand rhythm is a fractional approach to lengths of time, right? We've got these beats, 1, 2, 3, 4, that fill up a bar, and usually we consider each beat to be a quarter note. Obviously that can change depending on what time signature you're using, what actually gets the beat, all that stuff. But for right now, let's just say that we're working in 4/4, which means that we've got 4 quarter notes per bar, right? And when we look at rhythm, we've got a bunch of different types of rhythms that we can use to fill up that total space. We've got a whole note, which can be 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 2 half notes, which are 2 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got quarter notes, like I said, which take up a single beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Eighth notes, which are 2 hits, 2 notes per single beat, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. And now, when we go one step further than that, when we divide it yet again into a smaller fraction, we're given 16th notes. 1E and a, 2E and a, 3E and a, 4E and a, 1E and a, 2E and a, 3E and a, 4E and a. And that is 4 individual notes per beat, like I just demonstrated. Understanding and internalizing and using 16th notes for me is a thing that really separates like an intermediate musician from a more advanced level, in my opinion. If you can really feel the 16th notes and feel the groove on each one of them, or where they each fit into the groove very well, then that kind of says to me that you've taken the time as a musician to kind of up your level a little bit. Because this stuff doesn't come super naturally. So it's really easy to make a groove, a riff, or a lick sound rhythmically interesting by focusing on the 16th note. First, let's take a look at some of the common groupings, right? You could have groups of 2. And I'm calling these groups of 2 because it's 1 and 1E and each string kind of gets 2. You could also do it, on the same string, where the repeating figure happens at at every 2 notes, right? You could have groups of 4. Like that. 1E and a, 2E and a, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. Odd groupings of notes will cycle through which note lands on the downbeat, right? Which note in our right hand lands on the group in the left hand, until you have cycled through a total number of beats as you have as many 16th notes in your grouping. So if we're using 3 16th notes in a grouping, it will take 3 beats, or 12 16th notes total, to get back to the start. So in groups of 3, it's going to sound like this. 1E and a, 2E and a, 3E and a, and then we're back to the beginning. Just like a grouping of 3 16th notes will take 3 total beats to reset, groupings of 5 will take 5 total beats to reset. Now these little licks are all well and good, but I've really shown them as an example to kind of help visualize the amount of time that each of these things takes up. The next step is to feel these groupings of rhythms as whole units and single notes. Groupings of 2 are going to feel like 8th notes, groupings of 3 are going to feel like dotted 8th notes, groupings of 4 like quarter notes, and so on and so forth. Some of these are going to be harder to feel than others, since they're essentially polyrhythms. So don't be discouraged if you're presented with difficulty feeling things like groupings of 3 and 5 as a total unit. Groups of 2, 1E and a, 2E and a, groups of 3, groups of 4, and finally groups of 5. The next step is to start mixing and matching them. This next example, the first 2 beats are a setup of 2 plus 4 plus 2 groupings, and then the second 2 beats are a setup of 3 plus 3 plus 3 groupings. Now we've got a 3 plus 2 plus 3 followed by a 3 plus 5. Once you really have an understanding of these groupings, we can start to think about adding rests. The combination of notes that are being played and rests that are being played and how those two interact with each other are really what add a lot of funk and musicality when you apply that over a steady quarter note. Placing rests on strong beats or displacing strong notes onto off beats can add a ton of funk. Check out the bass line from I Want You Back by the Jackson 5. This is an excellent example of this. Also the bass line from Brick House by the Commodores, another one of just the funkiest bass lines out there. So now that we're getting the hang of all of these, this is pretty much how I come up with a lot of the Geff riffs too, if I want to make them funky. I mean, this is the exact process that I used for the whole body headbang riff, the fast one. Different groupings of 16th notes or 8th notes, depending on how you want to look at the bar, and in different numbers, and then filling out the notes throughout the rest of the bar to make a phrase. And there's lots of 16th note motion in the B section from Back to Space Earth. So I've talked a lot about like feeling out groupings and groupings of 5s and 3s and 4s and whatever, and understanding the feel of how long those things last. And that's a good first step, but the really important thing is to understand how these feel over a beat, and that's what gives them groove, right? Your body gets used to the beat, and then when you're introducing things that sit on different parts of the beat and in different locations and how they interact with the beat, that's called rhythmic dissonance. And adjusting your rhythmic dissonance is what's going to make things more or less funky and give things more or less of that that kind of nasty feel that you're looking for when you're really thinking about grooves, 16th note based grooves. Or at least that I'm looking for when I'm thinking about 16th note bass grooves. Anyway, I hope this helps. Check out my exercises on my Patreon, and yeah, cool. Take this, try it out, keep exploring.